Hello, my name is Rita Rosenbach. I am the author of the book Bringing Up a Bilingual Child. I'm also the driving force behind the website multilingualparenting.com. Today I will be answering two questions that have been sent in advance. If there are any other questions in the comments, I'll pick up those as well. So today I am answering the questions from Shalini and Tomako. So please let me know if you're here. I think you're both in a different time zone. Tomako, especially you're probably in Japan, so it's middle of the night there now. So if you're listening to a recording, welcome Tomako and welcome Shalini. To start with Shalini's question, she's from India. Her mother tongue is Hindi, but she says that she has never used hope we're online again. So she has never used Hindi. Shalini has never used Hindi with her 3-year-old son, only English. So the son now only understands English and also expresses his needs in English only. And Shalini continues by saying, the problem is that my son is now 3 years but does not express his other feelings, like if somebody hit him, he's having a pain, or if I ask him what he wants to eat. He understands everything but does not answer me sometimes. On the other hand, sometimes the son, as Shalini puts it, shocks them by using full sentences like, I do not know where is my blue car, mumma, or I'm feeling hungry. Okay, and Shalini's question is it okay to talk in English only with my son, or should I mix it with mother tongue also? So I always say the most important thing is the relationship between a parent and a child. Language has to come second. You have spoken English only with your son from the very start. I don't know the reasons behind your choice, but now you do not say that explicitly, but I have the feeling that you suspect that it's due to you speaking English, which is not your mother tongue, that your son doesn't express his feelings. I'm not sure you can draw a direct connection between the two things. However, it depends on what kind of language you have used with your son. To express his or her feelings, a child needs to be spoken to about feelings. A child needs to be able to so to say put a label on the feelings. And the child won't learn that unless a parent uses the equivalent words for the feelings and describes how those feelings affect you and what they mean. So have you done this in English? Have you talked about the feelings with him? And how about you also don't mention what your level of English is? I see. Obviously, you can speak it well, but how do you feel about the language? Is it an emotional, close language to you? Because I would have liked to have a bit more information about the reason for your question and why you have doubts about using English now, as you've used them for 3 years. Do you feel that you are yourself not able to express yourself well enough when you communicate with your son? If that is the case, then I would recommend that you start introducing Hindi as well. You do not mention again where you live, so I don't know what languages are in your environment, but if your son can hear Hindi also in the community, then Hindi certainly won't be a new language to him. Also, I don't know what other family members speak to him, if anyone uses Hindi with him at all. If you start using Hindi, you need to do that slowly, little by little, and by making it fun and interesting for your son. So if you look on my website, multilingualparenting.com, look for the words introduce or introducing in the search field, and you will find a lot of posts about introducing a new language to your child. So the important thing is that that it makes sense, especially for a 3-year-old, why to speak Hindi. You can start with, one of my favorite tricks is to introduce a Hindi-speaking toy, for example, that only speaks Hindi, doesn't speak English, and then through that, and by maybe bringing that toy into the everyday things that you do, explaining to the toy and speaking Hindi with the toy, because the toy only understands Hindi, then you can kind of ease in Hindi into your daily activities. But when it comes to, if you feel that your son is not communicating the way you would expect him to, then don't just think that, well, this is down to language. There might be other reasons as well. So I wouldn't ever want to give the impression that you can definitely say this now depends on which language you use. There might be other reasons, and you might want to speak to a specialist if you are really concerned. However, at 3 years old, it's quite normal that a child doesn't speak that much yet. So what I would do is to follow the situation, see how it goes, and if you are still concerned after some time, then speak first to your doctor and see if you could get a referral somewhere else. I don't see anything unusual in what you describe, but that said, I've only had a few sentences from you. The most important thing, Shalini, is that you feel comfortable when you communicate with your son and you talk about feelings independent of which language you use with him. If you feel that you can only express your innermost feelings in Hindi, then that is a good enough reason to start introducing Hindi into your lives, so you can use Hindi with him as well in more and more as he learns it. If you have any more any other questions about this, Shalini, please put them in the comments, and I'll be happy to pick them up later on. So that was Shalini's question. Next, I have Tomako. She lives in Japan. Her native language is Japanese, but she's also fluent in English. She has studied English, and also she used to live in Canada, so she's completely comfortable in using English. Her husband only speaks English, so no Japanese, and they are planning to move to Canada sometime in the future. And Tomako's in-laws in Canada only speak English, and that's why they want their 5- and 3-year-old daughters to become bilingual in Japanese and English. And their policy has been the minority language at home. That is, both dad and mom have only been speaking English at home. Tomako, however, finds it a bit difficult, that because the girls are now at school, and even when she speaks to them in English, they will answer in Japanese. Then in daycare they are. They will use English with the father because he doesn't speak Japanese. So obviously the girls do know English. Mostly they speak Japanese with each other, and only sometimes English. Tomako writes that they speak English when we tell them to speak English, but it doesn't last long. And yes, I can certainly confirm that. It's siblings usually choose the language they want to speak with each other, and you can try to encourage them to use the minority language, but I haven't seen many families where if the children have chosen to speak the majority language, the parents have been able to turn that around. Yes, the children might speak the minority language when the parents hear, when they are out of range, then they switch back to the language that they feel more comfortable with. That's just how things go, and as parents, that's something we just have to accept. And then this has now become an issue between Tomako and her husband. So if you're both listening, Tomako, and sorry, I don't know your name. I don't know the name of your husband, but if you're both listening, I am sorry to hear that it's become something that you can't agree on, and that you, as Tomako puts it, it's become a thing that you are upset about, both of you are upset about. I can understand everyone in the family. It is hard to be the minority language parent in an environment where everything else goes in the majority language. It can be frustrating, and it can kind of all sorts of feelings can come up, and as a minority language, it's very easy to say, well, to the majority language parent, you have to help me. This is not fair. This is so hard for me to do on my own, and you have to do this, that, and the other to support the minority language. That is a natural reaction. It is also for your children a very natural reaction if they spend the whole day in daycare speaking Japanese, that becomes their dominant language. That is only to be expected, and that they then prefer that language when they come home is also very expected. They're pragmatic. They use the language which they know best, especially with you, Tomako, because children, your daughters will know that your main language is Japanese, even if you have spoken English with them all the time. They will know from the way you speak and from your accent that you are not Japanese is not your mother tongue, but it is their dad's, and especially they have heard you speak Japanese, and obviously you've understood them when they speak Japanese to you. So for them, it's just easier to speak Japanese. So I can't blame them. I can't blame them for that. That's just a natural thing for a child to do. You also say, I can also understand your situation when you say that you can't always tell them to speak English when it's when, so to say, life happens and it's hectic, and you just let it go when they speak Japanese. Your husband is upset that you don't correct them, and you again are unhappy because it's not always easy for you to correct them. And then also there are certain words within the vocabulary that your children use in Japanese that you are not aware of in English, although your English is very good. So it's understandable. It's now has come to a situation where your husband refuses to speak English, and also has said, I'll quote you here, that so your husband said, if you do not speak English with me, to the girls, you can't read English books or watch English TV. There are different parenting approaches. That wouldn't be my approach, because what is happening if when you take away English TV, English books, is kind of removing the things that would help them. Also, if you're speaking to you now, Tomako's husband, if you do not speak English to them, no one speaks English to them. It is not going in the right direction. I totally understand you and your reaction, but I'm a minority language parent myself. As minority language parents, the onus is on us to keep the language going and encourage it. And Tomako, you can do as much as you can and speak English as much as you can, but you need to come back from this situation to a situation where English is a positive thing in your family. How you do that? I would say depends on your children's interest. If you can find a way to speak more English as a family together and have fun. So take away the emphasis from the language. Don't say that we are now speaking English only and we'll do this. So now we're going to do something fun. We are going to do this together as a family, and we are so everybody can join in. We are all speaking English, and just do that on a regular basis, and encourage your children in a positive way to use English. Tomako, you mentioned that there are worries that when you go back to, or not go back, but when you move to Canada, that of some reason that this situation would cause problems. You do not mention. I would be interested to know what the exact worries are. Is the worry that the Canadian family won't understand them, or they won't be able to communicate? Because that clearly isn't the case, because your children are speaking English with their dad, so they can communicate. And or is it a case of being afraid that it will be too difficult for them at school? Most schools are excellent at handling children that have English as a second language, and they will be supported. I have no doubt about that when you come to Canada. My own daughter, who was 6 years old when we moved to England, didn't know one word of English, and she picked it up. She did really well at school and all through school, and went on to university, and is today, she's now an adult and is today working as a doctor in London. And that's moving to the country at the age of 6 without any knowledge in English at all. So the most important thing is that you both have the same goal. You want your children, your girls, to learn English. So I know it seems that it's the situation kind of come to a stalemate where your husband thinks that you should be the one that drives the English, or at least you also should always be, and you should be strict, and you find it hard. Just sit down and discuss about it, and see the best way forward, so that you can work together for your kids and do it in a positive way. Taking away things that would help their English is really not beneficial for the situation. That's my opinion. And children do react better to positive encouragement than to negative consequences that are not, in my view, not helpful at all. So I would recommend that increase the amount of English books you read with your children. Watch English TV if you do watch TV. So watch English together with them. Discuss the programs together. Have fun. Have games. Do all different things in English. And most of all, try to agree on what needs to be done, because they are your children and you want the best for them, and you actually have the same goal. And I'm sure you can find a way to go forward. So those were the questions that I had today. Thank you very much. And both Shalini and Tomako, if you have any follow-up questions, put them in the comments. The next live Q&A will be on the Thursday in 2 weeks. Keep on speaking your languages, and wish you all the best. Bye.